You may have experienced an HR manager before, especially if you've ever worked a job. They're usually the people that, take your application, they give you your hiring paperwork, they schedule the interviews. They are the liaison or the middle person between management and employees, and any kind of management issues, hiring, firing, if you have a problem, sick leave, all that stuff, all the things that revolve around people and what people need to work. The HR department, also known as human resources, handles that. This one seems self-explanatory, determining human resources needs. But as you know, like just what's going on right now, a lot of companies are firing people or they're furloughing them, which is like a temporary fire, because like gyms, for example, are totally closed because of the virus. So the HR person's job is to figure out, should we be firing? Should we be hiring? How should we be working with our current employees? So there's a lot of this to kind of think about future demand and to make sure you have enough workers, but not too many. They do all the recruiting, the selecting. They often will write the job descriptions. They'll do the research as far as how much should you pay someone to find the local wages for specific jobs. HR's role has increased because laws are a big one. Sexual harassment laws, women being paid less than men has been an issue in the past. Discrimination. There's lots and lots of law behind human resource management. So that's why HR departments have actually grown over the years. And there's lots of people in that department and what they have to do. As you're seeing, they have to do a lot. Sometimes an HR manager will specialize. Like you might have an HR manager that only does training, or an HR manager that only does retirement and benefit plans. And then an HR manager that only works with hiring for even maybe a specific department within the company. So you could have a small HR department or a very large one. The human resource challenge. So as you know, we have a multi-generational workforce now, a decreased sense of employee loyalty. A lot of people jump around on jobs these days. The days of working the same job for 10 years in a row or for the rest of your life is just, it's less likely. Worker shortage in skilled trades. We're seeing that right now in engineering, for example, and healthcare. I think we're going to see a shortage in people who are trained and certified to work in the healthcare field, especially with what's going on right now. Recruitment. So we already talked about this, but they decide on what job boards should they post. Should they do internships? How are they going to recruit people? I just want to show a couple resumes here. I show the traditional resume over here, and then the new age resume. You should always cater your resume to the job at hand. Something I would like to point out, though, is you no longer really need to include where you live, especially if it's going to be a disadvantage for you. If you're applying for a job in San Francisco and you live in Livermore, it might actually be a disadvantage for you because they might want to hire somebody that's closer to San Francisco. So you do not have to include certain things on your resume, especially if you think they're going to hurt you. But resumes are really important, but here's some traditional ways of finding people: external sources, job boards, trade schools, job fairs, online. I'll tell you right now, from my experience, the best way to get a job is from word of mouth, from a friend or family member who already works there, who can put in the good word for you and get you to the top of the list. That is by far the best way. Something you should know about this chapter, though, is although you have all these external ways of finding jobs like the internet, social media, sometimes the job could be only internal. Sometimes companies will post jobs but only advertise them to the people who work there. And that's why I said it's really important to know people and network, because they can often get you the job. So anyways, you apply to the job, the human resources department selects their best candidates, they will interview them, they hire them, and then it's also the HR's job to do orientation and training. So to get you up to speed so that when you start your job, you can get going immediately. You don't have questions and you don't get stuck. Okay, so here we go. Compensating employees. So a lot of students love to read this because show me the money. A managed and competitive workforce programs help attract good workers, build employee incentives, keeps your employees happy. So what are some things? You have your salary, you have your hourly wage if you don't have a salary, and we talk about that exempt versus non-exempt in the guest speaker video that you're going to watch. You also have, for sales jobs, you have things like commission and bonuses and profit sharing. Sometimes this is a way to offset and increase people's salary without having the burden of having to pay them no matter what. It's a pay for performance type of system. Some companies do this, some companies don't. And then you have other things like stock options where, for example, this is a friend of mine works for a startup, and the startup can't afford to pay Facebook salaries, Google salaries, things like that. So what they do is they pay them in stock options with the promise of, hey, if this company ever becomes really big, you're going to be able to cash out and sell those stock options and make a lot of money. Fringe benefits, this is really important. A lot of people take this for granted. Health benefits are worth a lot of money. Personally, I would rather, if I had the choice between an $80,000 a year job with no benefits and a $70,000 a year job with full benefits, I would probably pick the $70,000 a year job, because after you pay your taxes and you have to pay out of pocket for your own health insurance, you probably will end up with more money in your pocket taking the lower salary with better benefits. And this is why a lot of people like to work for Facebook and Google, because they have things like the cafeteria, they have unlimited vacation time sometimes, they have free daycare, free dry cleaning, free bicycle repair, crazy benefits. Some of you are just starting out in your career. You might be working retail right now. Retail does not offer these type of benefits. But as you get your degrees and as you acquire skills that no one else could do, or no one else could do as good as you can start demanding or start negotiating these types of benefits. But if your job can be done by anyone, you can't really negotiate these benefits, because there's plenty of other people that would take your job for just the current salary. So don't think you're going to apply for a job and ask for a company car. You have to have a reason why you deserve the company car. But as I mentioned, in engineering right now, software development, you can often negotiate these types of benefits because there is a labor shortage. It's supply and demand, right? A lot of demand for those type of workers, not a lot of supply. You also have other benefits like 401k plans, and if they match or not, matching meaning that they will contribute in addition to what you contribute, which is this is a retirement plan. It's a way to offset some of your taxes. It's also a way to pay less taxes when you make money on investing. You often can defer those taxes till if you wait till your 65th birthday, and then you get all that money tax-free. Health insurance and a health savings plan, HSA, are also other benefits that are pretty common. So this is what, we went back to the slide, just, they select, they talk about what kind of employees they need. Do they lay off people? Do they hire people? Do you get full-time workers, or do you hire contingent workers, like people that are on a contract? Maybe they only work for 6 months at a time. Why do they do this? Think about all these reasons. When full-time workers are on leave, some specifically women, when they're pregnant, they have to leave over for their maternity leave. So what do? You hire a temporary worker. Well, that person is gone, and then because it's not worth hiring a full-time person. So you look at your needs and you hire based on your needs. Performance appraisal is also part of HR and keeping records. You will see in the guest speaker quiz and the YouTube video guest speaker that you can request your documents and look at your performance appraisals. So there's 6 steps to making an appraisal. So if you've ever had an appraisal done to you before, these are kind of the standards that your manager was using. So that's the gist of the chapter. I think you'll find that the guest speaker jumps into a lot more real world examples of human resources. I think it's a great job to get into HR. If you like working with people, this could be a really rewarding job, but it's also good to know what HR does and how it affects the whole company. I hope you enjoyed the lecture, and I'll be talking to you in the discussions.